Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My good viewers, friends, teachers, learners, mentors, and all friends who have been watching the lectures very regularly. And as you all know that we started this project management series, and the important areas have been discussed. We started with the fundamentals, and then we went to the core knowledge areas of time, quality, cost, and scope. And then we also discussed the support areas like procurement management, risk management. And today we will take up another very important support area, knowledge area, which is called project human resource management. As we all know that the art of project management deals with the dealing with the human resource side. And obviously, the project team building process is a very challenging process in which you all the time are looking for very appropriate people at the appropriate place and definitely at the appropriate time. So as a matter of fact, the success or failure of the project itself largely depend upon the success of the project team. And that is why the human resource management in the projects becomes more challenging and more important. We earlier delivered a lecture in the leadership, which was more related to the Hill model of team leadership. But today we will emphasize on the project management leadership, very customized to the project environment. And I always say that the success of project depends largely on two major components. The first is the very strong and robust project team, and the second is the support from senior and executive management. So if you have these two things with you, you are certainly very lucky, having blessed with a very good project team, and at the same time having very good executive and senior managers who have been supporting you for a long time and for the success of projects. When I look back at my journey as a project manager back in Lec University, in which I tried to deliver to the best of my capabilities, wherein we could complete projects to the tune of 5 or 4 billion throughout the country, and hundreds of projects were completed. So I can recall that I had been blessed in two ways, that we had a very good team of dedicated people, and certainly I provided the leadership and comfort. But at the same time, more important was the team composition and their loyalty and commitment. And successively, I remember that I was having very strong supports from my vice chancellors, starting from Anwar Siddiqui and then Saab, and then followed by Dr. Altaf Hussain, whom I truly call the Shah Jahan of the Allama Iqbal University, because he was a person who brought a transformational change in the infrastructure of the Allama Iqbal University. And then we had Dr. Mahmood Al-Hassan, who has been also very supportive in developing the new projects. And then we had Dr. Nazir Ahmad Sangi, who was again very much focused on the development of the sub-campuses infrastructure. And I think this has been the greatness of those vice chancellors, my leaders, and certainly the teams, my followers, who certainly provided a lot of good work to the history of infrastructure development in the Allama Iqbal University. So starting with a few quotations. The first is from Hadith of the holy Prophet, that seek knowledge from cradle to grave. The only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing. That is Socrates. What we have to learn to do, we learn by doing. That is Aristotle. Learn as if you are going to live forever, but live as if you are going to die tomorrow. Mahatma Gandhi. Stop thinking in terms of limitations, start thinking in terms of possibilities. Terry Josephson. Uh, the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Steve Jobs, the chief executive of the Apple, late Steve Jobs. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write. The illiterate of the 21st century would not be the people who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Alvin Toffler. And this is the basic philosophy of the human resource development, that you keep on learning new things and then you unlearn these and you try to seek and learn new things. Many of the life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. So they are just at the corner of the success, but unfortunately they gave up. Thomas Edison. It is impossible to begin to learn that which one thinks one already knows. But yes, I always doing that which I cannot do in order that I may learn how to do it. Pablo Picasso. One of the greatest joys known to man is to take flight into ignorance in search of knowledge. That is Robert Lyon. All our knowledge has its own origin in our perception. That is Da Vinci. We are that what we repeatedly do. Aristotle. The final obstacle in the belief is that there is an obstacle. That is Papaji. And finally, Einstein. Imagination is more important than knowledge, for while knowledge defines all we currently know, understand, imaginations point to all we might yet discover and create. So the human resource management is the utilization of individuals to achieve the organizational objectives. All managers at every level must concern themselves with human resource management. Generally, there are many functions, but the top very important functions are shown in this diagram. That you are, for example, trying to develop the human resource planning, then you development, compensation, safety and health, and employee labor relations. These are further given in these that, for example, the employer staffing is the recruitment, selection. The training and development may involve the appraisal, education and development. The compensation may involve the salaries, wages, benefits, short-term and long-term incentive plans. Employer relations may be the grievance resolutions, union relationships. The HR planning and research, this forecasting, job analysis, attitude surveys, validation, etc. So the 21st century approach is the human resource strategy, that a people-centered approach. The proactive acquisition, retention, development, adjustment, and managing changes of human resources is necessary for organizational success. HRM has moved from support staff functions that used to be personnel to a more strategic role in the organization. So today, the human resource management or the human resource department is playing a pivotal role in the organizations. Earlier, it was a line department or a support department, but now it is a main or major department. Human capital or human resource is a term that recognizes the greater societal value of developing all present and future workforce participants to their fullest potential. Is your human resource development playing these functions? If not, then why? Certainly, most of the institutions, and even in our institution, the HR department is very thin in terms of its role, and it is mostly concentrated on the appointment and recruitment and selection. So only one or two roles out of 6 or 7 they normally play, but they don't have any kind of appraisal or kind of training and development and other things. The people-centered practices of the 21st century, where the competitive advantage can be created by a people-centered organization through developing the human resource. That is protection of job security first, rigorous hiring process. That the process of hiring should be very rigorous. It should involve a very deep analysis of the prospective human resource, employee empowerment, compensation linked to the performance, comprehensive training, reduction of status difference, and sharing of key information. So these are some of the 5 or 6 or 7 major considerations in the 21st century people-centered organization. This is just telling us, if I just remove the shared. For example, in staffing activity, the land manager may provide the data for job qualification, integration of the strategy with the HR plans, and then the HRD may develop the job analysis, the human resource planning, recruitment, selection, employee laws and regulations. Retention, for example, the land manager will provide the fair treatment, open communication, teamwork, performance-based pay increases, respect and dignity, where the HRD would develop the compensation and benefit plans, health and safety plans, and employee services. In case of training and development, the land managers would develop the demand for on-job trainings, job recruitments, motivational strategies, performance feedback to employees, and coaching, where the human resource department would do the legally sound performance management, technical trainings, moral surveys, managerial and organizational development, HR research. Adjustments, for example, the discipline, discharge, layoffs. The HRD will investigate, conduct the inquiries, and address the complaints of the employees, replacement of the services, retirement counseling, and so on. And if there are some changes, then definitely again the land manager will provide visions to unit as where the change is going, provide expertise to manage the overall process of managing. So when we come to the project human resource management, then certainly it's really very important because project human resource management includes the processes that organize and manage the project teams. The project team is comprised of the people who are assigned roles and responsibilities for completing the project, while it's common to speak the roles and responsibilities. Early involvement of the team members adds expertise during the planning process. The type and number of project team members can often change as the project processes. So maybe at different level of the project or different phases of the project, the number and the expertise of the human resource required for the project may change. Project team members can be referred to as a project staff sometime. So this is a common interchangeably used term. Now these are the 4 processes which we normally do in the project team management. And the first is to identify the human resource planning, that we identify as documenting the project rules, responsibilities, and reporting relationship, as well as creating a staffing management plan. Once you develop this, and certainly the entire success of the project team success would depend on a better human resource planning. And normally this we do at the development of the project phase. When we develop the PC1, we also identify the project team to execute the project. And then once the project is approved, then we acquire the project team. That is again the same notion that right person at the right time at the right place. So this is the main objective of the human resource acquisition. And then we develop them because people may come from different background, different qualification, different experiences. So you try to develop them like a team, and then you try to see that what can be their training needs. And then once they are developed and the team cohesion is created and they are motivated to create the team integration, then certainly they would move to execute, and that will be the project team management. This is the process we normally do in the project execution, whereas the first 3 processes are done in the planning stage. Now the planning, for example, may identify the rules, responsibility and reporting relationship, and at the end of this process, planning process, we can develop some organizational chart. We can also develop some staff management plans, responsibility assignment matrix, RAM or RAM. We will discuss this in resource histogram, that what will be the availability of resources, human resources for different kinds of activities, and how we would try to balance it out or level it out. This is an example. For example, a project manager, and there is a deputy project manager, and there are then sub projects like system engineering, independent test groups, project team lead, then quality assurance, then configuration. Then we have 3 sub projects. We have a software project 1, software project 2, and then hardware project. So for each sub project, we have a manager, and then under each manager, there are certain teams working. So this is just telling us the organization chart of the project team. This is a work definition and assignment process that, for example, once the RFP, contract, and project charter, scope statement, and everything are finalized, then we go to the final project baseline and technical baseline, and then how the work will be done, for example. We assign the, identify the project and team approach, technical approach, and then we break down the work. We discussed this last time, and then we assign the work, and we develop the organizational breakdown structure. So for each component of the work breakdown structure, we also identify the element of organization who can be dealing with that particular part of the work. Now, the human resource planning, which is very important part of the project planning. Human resource planning determines project roles, responsibility, and reporting relationship. Project roles can be designated for person or groups. Those person or groups can be from inside or outside. And the staffing management plan can include how and when the project team members will be acquired, the criteria for releasing them for the project, and identification of training needs, plans of recognition and rewards, compliance, consideration. So all important features of the job design and job description will be incorporated into the staffing plan or the human resource plan, and the safety issues and the staffing management plan, and all these will be incorporated. So the HR planning is an output can give us. We are using different types of tools like organization chart, most commonly used, in which we have the most common is the hierarchical model, and then we have some matrix model also we will discuss, and there might be some text oriented. So the most common is the hierarchical model, in which the top project management manager is then divided into different subcomponents, and under each component we can have some sub-project manager or deputy project manager who can be working with that particular sub-project. The hierarchical type, which is the most common type, that we divide the work into smaller components, or project into smaller component in terms of work breakdown structure. Similarly, the organization is also broken down into organization breakdown structure, and we link the OBS and WBS to identify that what particular group or a person can be responsible for a particular part of the WBS. The project activities or work packages are listed under each existing department. This way, an operational department such as information technology or purchasing can see all the project responsibility by looking to its portion of the OBS. The resource breakdown structure is another hierarchical chart. It is used to break down the project by types of resources. For example, an RBS can depict all the welders and welding equipment being used in different areas of the ship, even though they can be scattered among different branches of the OBS and WBS. The resource breakdown structure is helpful in tracking project cost and can be aligned with the organization counting systems. The RBS can contain resource categories other than human resource. This is another matrix-based chart in which we can assign the responsibilities to different people at different stages of the project. For example, on a larger project, resource assignment matrices can be developed at various levels. For example, at high level of rank can be defined what project team group in a unit will be responsible for each component. If we just see in this particular example, in the defined stage of the project, responsibility, assignment, uh, responsibility, accountability, consult, and information. So these are three roles which are defined in this particular matrix. For example, in the definition stage, Miss N is accountable for this, whereas Ben is reporting responsible, whereas Carlos is information only, and Diana is uh, again information, and Edison or Edmund is also uh, information. So when we go to the design, for instance, the responsibility would go to Carlos, and accountability would move from N to Ben, and the uh, role of Diana and Edie in this particular role will be stage will be phase will be, for example, consultation. So in the testing, for example, the accountability would again come to the N, and the Ben and Carlos will be only informed, whereas Diana would be reporting responsible, and Edmund will be also informed. So this is just telling us there are 5 members team in this particular small project, and under each, this is a system development or software development project, and under each phase of the project, the 4 fundamental relationship, that is responsibility, accountability, consultation, and information has been given. Once we do the human resource planning, what we can expect as outcome is that we identify the roles and responsibility. The role is the label describing the portion of project for which a person is accountable. Example of the project role are civil engineers, code liaison, business analysts, testing coordinators, lab consultant. Role clarity concerning authority, responsibility, and boundaries is essential for the project success. This is really very important because in many cases, I have observed that there are many role overlaps, and this creates a lot of confusion and sometimes under optimization. The authority is the right to apply the project resources, make decisions, assign approvals. Example of decision that with clear authority include the selection of a method of completing an activity, quality acceptance, and how to respond to project variances. Team members operate best within their individual level of authority matches their individual responsibilities. The responsibility is the work that the project team member is expected to perform in order to complete the project's activity. And competency is basically the skill and the capacity required to complete the project activity. If a project team member do not possess the required competencies, then performance can be jeopardized. When such mismatches are identified, proactive response such as training, hiring, schedule change, and scope changes are initiated. So, as a matter of fact, for each role, we identify the responsibility and authority, and certainly accountability also. The second thing which we get as a matter of output in the human resource planning or project human resource planning, we get the organizational chart, in which a project organization is a graphic display of the project team and their reporting relation. It can be formal or informal, highly detailed or broadly framed based on the need of the project. For example, the project organization chart for a 3,000-person disaster response team will have a greater detail than a project organization chart for a 20%. So depending on the complexity and the volume of project, the organization chart can be very small and it can be very large even. The third output of the human resource planning we normally do is the staff management plan, and that would include the staffing management plan. A subset of the project management plan describes when and how human resource requirements will be met. The staffing management plan can be formal and informal, highly detailed or broadly framed based on the need of the project. The plan is updated continually during the project to direct the ongoing team members. And development action. Information in the staffing management plan varies by application area and project size, but items to consider may include the staff acquisition, the timetable or shifts, release criteria, that when they will be released from the project teams, the training needs, the recognition and rewards, the compliances, and the safety. So these are the staff management plans which normally are given in their job design, job description. The second very important process we do in the project is acquiring the project team, and this, of course, is the most difficult part, because though we have a very good and well-defined role and responsibility and authority of the project team members, but yet finding a very suitable person for that role is always a challenge. And this becomes even more difficult in places like we have in the Gilgit, because we have a very high shortage of the qualified people for the projects. So there might be some tools, for example, the pre-assignment, which are many people we know in the organization are from the references that they can be suitable for that particular role. And this situation occurs if the project is a result of specific people being promised as part of the competitive proposal. If the project is dependent on the expertise of a particular person, or if some staff assignments are defined within the project charter. So normally within the project, sometimes we define the roles, and the project team is pre-assigned, or a person in the project may be pre-assigned. Then we can have the negotiation. That assignment are negotiated on many projects. For example, the project management team may need to negotiate with the functional manager to ensure that the project receives appropriate and competent staff as and when required. The time frame and other project team members will be other project management team within the performance organization. So that is a negotiation with the different departments, with the HR department and with the other line department, where we can find the suitable persons. The third, the most common, is acquisition, which is sometimes called recruitment and selection. And this is basically the most common method that we go to the market. We advertise in the newspapers or websites of the organization, and then we try to shortlist the capable people, and then we select through interview or other tests processes. And this is normally done either from within the organization or in-house, or it may be done from the outside, depending on the need of the project and the complexity of the role we need. A very common example is now coming as a virtual team, and particularly in this COVID-19 scenario, where we have very little time to work in the offices, and due to the lockdown and social or physical distancing, we have been forced to work at the homes. So a lot of virtual teams are now working from their homes and doing their. I had been part of many virtual teams in the design, in the training and development of the university faculty, of developing some research related to the housing in the earthquake areas. This is a really very interesting part of the team. In most of the IT projects, we have the virtual teams where the people are working from different parts of the world, and they develop, and then they also fetch businesses, and they do in a virtual team. So in this can be defined as a group of people with shared goals who fulfill their roles in little or no time spent meeting face to face. The availability of electronic communication such as email, video conferencing has made such teams feasible. There are many new tools now. Once we acquire the people, appropriate people in the project, then the most challenging is to develop them, because if we go by the team building process, the most common, we know that first of all, we try to form the team, forming, and then we norming, and then storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. This is the 5 very famous phases. That first of all, that we form the team, and then there is a big storming about the roles and responsibilities, and then they become normal, and we develop them. So the develop of the project team is basically the competence and direction of team members to enhance the project performance. Now, the people who are required in the projects have different backgrounds, they have different kind of experiences and preferences. So in such case, certainly they would like to be developed. We try to improve their skills, our objectives in order to increase their ability to complete the project activities, improve feelings of trust and cohesiveness. This will certainly create the motivation within the project. So there are some general management skills which are normally known as a soft skills and particularly important to team development. Understanding the sentiments of the project team members, anticipating their actions, acknowledging their concerns, and following their issues, the project management team can greatly reduce problems and increase cooperation. Skills such as empathy, influence, creativity, and group facilitation are valuable assets when managing the project teams. There are trainings also, which is tried to enhance their capacity to deal with the current project challenges and current project rules. This would training can be formal or informal. Example of training methods include classrooms, online, computer-based, on-job training for another project team member, mentoring and coaching. So formal and informal trainings. Then we try to also bring the team building activities, which is one of the very important role of the project team leader to create the team building activities, which can vary from 5-minute agenda item in a status review meeting to off-site professionally facilitate experience designated to improve interpersonal relationship. And this is really very important when you are working with the project team hailing from different backgrounds, different cultures, different languages, different countries. This is very important for the project team leader to have the team building activities and allow them to set and negotiate and also discuss how the team building process can be improved. Then there are some ground rules which establish clear expectations regarding acceptable behavior by project. This is we clearly need to identify the rules, the disciplines, the conflict of interests, and early commitment and guidelines so that the ground rules are well established for all the team members. The co-location is something in which we place many or all of the most project team members in the same physical location to enhance their ability to perform as a team. Co-location can be temporary, such as a strategically important time during the project and for the entire project. So the co-location is normally that the project team is working in the project office, and most of them are working together in a team so that they can have a better communication and the project team efficiency and productivity is improved. Another very important part of the development is recognition and rewards, that to recognize their services and bless them with rewards is very important in the human resource development, to create ownership, to create empathy. Once we go to the project and execution stage, the last process is the managing the project teams. To manage the project team involves tracking team members' performance, providing feedback, resolving issues, and coordinating changes to enhance project performance. So once we have deployed the team in the project, it will be very important to track their performance and to get their feedbacks. And if there are some issues which come during the currency of project and interpersonal conflicts, then definitely it would be resolved by the project team leader. And if there are some changes required, that would be coordinated within the team. The project management team observes team behavior, manages conflicts, resolves issues, and appraises team member performance. We discussed this. As a result of managing the project team, the project staff management plan is updated, change requests are submitted, issues, we may change the roles, we may change their places, we may remove people from the team and add some new people. So all these processes are then updated into the project organizational performance appraisal, and the lesson learned are also documented. So we are using different techniques for the appraisal of the project team performance. The most common is observation and conversation. We observe the performance, we get the performance appraisal reports of different members in the project team, and we also coach them, we keep in touch with them, and we also see their progress based on the indicators already shared with them at the beginning of the project. We also look at the performance appraisals in which we are having the weekly or fortnightly or monthly project reports, and we try to see the performance of each and every team in terms of their productivity and efficiency. And there can be 360-degree feedback principles in which the feedback on the performance can be obtained not only from the supervisors, but also from the team workers, from the colleagues, from the subordinates, and from the people of other teams, and so on. So this would create a holistic and 360-degree performance appraisal about a particular person. The conflicts are very natural to come in the human resource when they are working in the projects. And certainly, this is very common in all projects, and the true leadership of the project manager would come to deal with such kind of conflicts. There might be personal conflict, interpersonal conflict, there might be intrapersonal conflicts, and this will certainly affect your productivity and efficiency if not resolved in time. So if there is a proper conflict resolution mechanism within the project, then certainly the team leader would try to resolve these conflicts in time, and that would ultimately improve the productivity and positive work relationships. Sources of conflicts include scarce resources, scheduling, personal work styles, and so on. We also maintain an issue log, which is the issues which arise in the course of managing the project. Log a document person responsible for resolving specific issues by target date. The log helps the project team monitor issues until closures. The general advices include: be patient and kind with your team, fix the problem instead of blaming people, establish regular effective meetings, allow time for teams to go through the basic team building stages, limit the size of work team to 3 to 7 members. So if you have a very big team, then certainly the productivity will be lost. And even some people may not be working they would prove counterproductive sometimes. Plan some social activities to help project team members and other stakeholders get to know each other better. Stress team identity, nurture team members and encourage them to help each other. Take additional actions to work with virtual team members. We have different kinds of softwares. For example, there are some software which can produce RAMs, responsibility, assign matrices, and resource histograms. We use project management software. We discussed a few last time, which can assign resources, identify potential resource shortages, and level the resources. So these are some of the project resource management involves much more than using software. For example, how to treat the people with consideration and respect, understand what motivates people, communicate carefully with people. So certainly the emotions and the emotional intelligence will be required, which cannot be taught only by the software. Rather, you have to be learning as a team leader yourself, the project team leader, and that would not be getting from the software. You will have to really be learning all these soft skills through a rigorous process of learning. Focus on your goal of enabling project team members to deliver their best work. So you have to be very focused on your goals, and you have to be very empathetic to the project team members to make them deliver in the project circumstances. So thank you very much, gentlemen. This takes us to the last slide of the lecture today, which was more about the project human resource management. So thank you very much, and certainly I believe that you would give your feedback. There was a suggestion from one of our veteran engineer and friend, engineer Liaqat Hayat Saab, who is a consultant in the World Bank, and his experience as engineer is now almost of my age, 50 years plus. So I'm now 55 or 56, so I believe that his experience is more like 52 or 53 years now. So he has been one of the pioneers engineers in Islamabad. He has been working in CDA, in the National Highway Authority, and with World Bank, and currently also he's working as a consultant. There was a suggestion from Liaquat Hayat Saab that we should also start some group discussion and questions answered. So I would request the students, the participants, the learners, the teachers, the peers and mentors to kindly share your experience, share your lessons learned, because we want that this portal must be a very learning portal for all of us. It should not be just a one-way communication from my side. So my request to all of you who have any kind of experience to share with the students, with the learners, with the peers, so kindly come forward and play your role in this learning and sharing process. Thank you very much. I'm really grateful, and I believe that the Ramadan is going very peacefully, and all of us are safe and healthy. And Alhamdulillah, the weather is also very comfortable so far. And even today, we had the very good showers in Islamabad, and the temperature is very low, Alhamdulillah. And I hope that the rest of the Ramadan will be also blessed and filled with more and more blessings of Allah, and we will have enough time to offer our supplications to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I also pray that may we all are also saved from this pandemic and COVID-19, which has certainly played a havoc to the entire humanity. But hopefully, and we pray and we expect from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this will be over very soon. By mid of this month or end of this month, the world will once again will be normal, and we will be going to the workplaces, and inshallah we will be sharing our knowledge in the same way, in the same zeal and the same commitment. So thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.